I know a few good stories. They take place in a corner of America that might seem familiar, yet still manages to surprise. The settings are spectacular, the characters compelling, the action exciting, the plot lines unpredictable. I'm Tom Richardson. Join me as I explore New England's great outdoors, from Candlewood Lake, Connecticut to Caribou, Maine, from the beaches of Cape Cod to the peaks of New Hampshire's White Mountains. The stories are waiting. Let's live them on Explore New England. Explore New England is brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, your local REI co-op. REI believes a life outside is fundamental to a life well lived. GEICO. See how much you could save on more than just car insurance. Visit newengland.com. And Camping World. When my friend Paul Tazinski suggested I join him and his daughters Corey and Avery for some mushroom foraging near his family's farm in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, I didn't think much about it. I mean, how exciting could mushroom gathering be? But as I soon learned, foraging can be a blast, sort of like an Easter egg hunt for adults. It's also a great way to benefit from nature's bounty and to get in touch with your hunter-gatherer self. Paul and his family are quite attuned to the land and waters of their home in southern Berkshire County, but that should come as no surprise. After all, they've farmed this fertile region since the 1960s.
Growing up on a farm certainly wasn't easy, and not to sound cliche about it, but I really think it's something that you just don't appreciate until you leave it. When you're a kid, you want to go out and play with your friends, and you want to do sports on weekends, and I was working. I was picking zucchini and picking corn. I could drive a tractor before I could walk. And my parents had pictures of me out there weeding onions in diapers. And you don't really appreciate just how much of a blessing that is and the type of work ethic, but also appreciation it gives you for nature and the environment. And there are very few jobs where you can actually see your hard work pay off so incredibly instantly. My daughters, Corey and Avery, are here with me every single day on the farm, going out and foraging for food, or literally going into our backyard and picking an apple to eat, or going out in the garden and picking kale or chard. It's that appreciation for not only where their food comes from, but for nature, and understanding that these things come from the earth. And it's important, as a farmer, you're more of a steward for the planet than you are a person in business. And if you take care of your crop, it'll take care of you. And for them to learn that at such a young age, it's just so important nowadays.
So we've done pretty good on the Etaloma, I think, guys, thanks to your eagle eyes, and mine too, if I may be so bold. But what other mushrooms can you find out in the woods of the Berkshires? Like edible ones, that is.
This time of year, the prize is hen of the woods. Hen of the woods, and actually something called chicken of the woods too, which is a little bit harder to find because they grow up in a tree and you have to be able to climb the tree to go get it.
Okay.
But hen of the woods is a giant oyster mushroom. They can be up to 20 pounds.
Oh, wow.
One mushroom, 20 pounds.
So why do they call them oyster mushrooms?
Yeah, oyster is just the growth habit. If you've ever seen oysters growing or being cultivated, how they just kind of compound on each other. Mm-hmm. An oyster mushroom is the same thing. When you pick it, it looks like one mushroom with a ton of caps coming out. And you wind up getting more bang for your buck because when you find one, you usually find several pounds of it.
Wow, no kidding. So what about morels? Like, I hear a lot of people going crazy for morels. Like, do they grow around here too?
They do. We find a lot of morels. Sometimes we even pick them by the bushel basket in the springtime. Mm-hmm. But
It's a very short window. Usually by the time you start to see morels, the season is ending.
Oh, wow.
And there's different kinds of morels. You find sometimes morels growing in your front lawn and you don't even realize it's a morel. Other times you have to go into woods and you get bigger ones, but they're not necessarily the ones that are prized by the restaurants because they don't have that tight flavor.
Huh, okay. Avery, do you think you'll grow up to be a mycologist?
I don't know. I haven't decided my career yet.
Okay. Well, you know, you still got a few years to figure that out, so you get a pass. After gathering some apples and the small Entaloma mushrooms in the hemlock and oak forest, we set our sights on bigger game, a big leafy mushroom known as hen of the woods, which grows around the base of mature oak trees. Obviously, you need to know a few things about mushrooms before you start running around in the woods gathering and eating them. Always be certain you don't pick anything poisonous, and if in doubt, don't eat it. All right, guys, I'd say we found the mother lode.
I told you we'd fill that basket.
Oh yeah, I didn't think we'd fill it quite like we're doing it right now.
With one mushroom.
With one mushroom, unbelievable. So we're gonna eat these?
Yeah, we're gonna go make some boneless mushroom wings.
I can't wait. You're full of surprises, man.
They're good.
Okay.
We're gonna make boneless mushroom wings.
Okay, let's see how you do it.
Very simple. So just a little bit of all-purpose flour, some nice local eggs, garlic powder, celery salt. This is a mixture of white pepper and coriander, paprika. This is a little bit of condensed chicken stock, and whole milk. And now we add the mushrooms. Roll them around, get nice coating on all of them. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, there it is, the masterpiece. Wow, they really does look like pieces of chicken.
That's why we call them boneless mushroom wings.
Can I sample one?
Help yourself. We've got ranch and blue cheese. Ranch.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the ranch.
Good just on their own, but isn't that delicious? Go ahead, girls. Avery, use your fingers.
That is awesome, man. Oh, fresh out of the forest.
Absolutely. This is why we do what we do.
You know, so many parents nowadays, you've got to know where your kids are at all times. You don't know where they are. Oh my God, they're flipping out. Are they on their tablet, or are they on their Kindle? Are they on their iPhone? Being on a farm, I don't have to worry, because if I don't see my kids for a little while, they're out playing in the corn maze. They're out, you know, playing in the stream, or they're out in the woods eating an apple or catching a fish in a native stream. They're doing things that most kids don't get to do, and that's one of the reasons why I'll continue to work as hard as I do, so that they have this to pass on to their children someday, and hopefully they get the same appreciation for it that I have.
The Berkshires of western Massachusetts have long served as a destination for visitors seeking outdoor recreation and a break from urban life dating back to the early 1800s. And whether you plan to hike, bike, paddle, ski, or pursue one of the other outdoor activities available in the Berkshires, a convenient and comfortable base is the Red Lion Inn in the town of Stockbridge, where I spent the night. Founded as the Pepoon Tavern in 1773, the historic inn has existed in many forms under different owners for over 200 years.
The Red Lion Inn was started in 1773. It was a carriage stop on the way to Boston from Albany, and it kind of grew as it went. It grew into the property that you see today. There was a big fire in 1895, which is kind of the biggest event that really shaped the inn for years to come, because when it burned down, it was actually able to be rebuilt in 1897, and that's when they put in our birdcage elevator, and they also put an extension on the back of the property. And it continued along, and it got pretty decrepit. No one was really caring for it, and then the Fitzpatrick family bought it in the late 1960s, and they were locals to the area, and they owned a series of curtain stores called Country Curtains, and they made this their home base, and they just kind of put their feeling of hospitality, and they just turned it into what it is now. when people come to the Red Lion Inn, they're really looking just to get away. They're looking to get away from how fast everything goes nowadays. They're looking to slow things down. You come out to the Berkshires, you're not here to go to the clubs, to the bars. You know, you're here to sit and enjoy a glass of wine, talk to your good friends, reconnect with people you know. One of the funniest things is actually we really don't have any cell phone service out here, so a lot of folks have actually, you know, they're forced to disconnect from their daily lives.
Foraging for mushrooms is one way to immerse yourself in the natural wonders of the Berkshires. Hiking is another. Berkshire County contains over 850 miles of map trails that wind through a diverse array of habitat, from rivers and lowland marshes to mountains like famous Mount Greylock. The storied Appalachian Trail itself runs right through the heart of the Berkshires, affording ample opportunities for novice and experienced hikers alike. A diverse array of organizations and groups work to build and maintain the Berkshires trail system, among them the Berkshires Natural Resources Council. I met up with BNRC President Jenny Hansel and Trails Coordinator Tyler Fogg for a short hike up Mahanna Cobble in the town of Pittsfield. The trail starts at the Bosquet ski area, which on my visit was still in the midst of being renovated under new management. We set off on our hike and climbed one of the ski trails before veering off into the woods. As we ascended the Cobble, the local name for a rocky hill, Tyler described the hard work that goes into constructing and maintaining the region's many trails, something that many hikers take for granted.
Who maintains these trails, Tyler?
We have a wide network of volunteers and volunteer trail stewards. We have volunteer work days. I have a staff of 2 trail crew members, and BNRC has other stewardship staff that are certified to use chainsaws and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, you know, it's a lot more goes on behind the scenes than most people realize.
So here's an example of some stepstones that were installed along the treadway to service that spring that comes out right there. Makes for a really wet section, and so these stepstones get people out of what would otherwise be really soggy soil. And what would eventually happen is not only would it erode, people would try to avoid it, so they'd go uphill of the trail and downhill, whichever way they could go to avoid the wet.
And it would cause more erosion,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So this is a great way to do this without having to build a bridge. You just plop some big stepping stones, basically.
So we're looking out at the Yoken Ridge, which goes down into Lenox, and our high road trail, when it's complete, will go from here all the way along that ridge. Down below is the Pleasant Valley Wildlife Sanctuary, that's Mass Audubon. Beyond that, you see Monument Mountain, that's a Trustees of Reservations property, and then way off in the distance, the tall one is Mount Everett. The Mahanna Cobble, this trail that we just walked, is the first piece of a very big project called the High Road, which will take generations to fully complete, but it will be a network of trails that connects the entire Berkshires, going from town to town or from town to conservation area, or as we like to say, going from food to food. And the idea is you have a beautiful walk and then you come down into town and you find the bed and breakfast and the beautiful
brew pub,
shop, or the brew pub or the wine bar, and then maybe partake of some of the other things the Berkshires has to offer. You'll go to Tanglewood and then hike up here and then carry on your excursion across the Berkshires.
or Mass Mocha or something like that.
Exactly. We have trails in every part of the county, so all of these incredible cultural and artistic attractions will be near one of the pieces of the high road. And it really builds on what makes the Berkshires so extraordinary. People come here for art and for nature, and this is a way to really blend the two and help support the Berkshires' recreational economy. This bench, this beautiful stone bench, we call it George's Bench in honor of George Wislocki, who's the founder of BNRC, the Berkshire Natural Resources Council. He started it in 1967 to protect what was beautiful and special about the Berkshires. And he was a real gadfly. He worked on all kinds of environmental issues, but over the years, what we really became was a conservation organization, acquiring and protecting land to make sure it stays in this beautiful state in perpetuity forever. And so a lot of our work now is building and maintaining the trails and then providing ways to connect people to them through programs, hikes and walks, and community programming. One way to look at it is you won't protect what you don't love, and you don't love what you don't know. So if you get out here and you see this, then you develop a passion for it and a culture and an ethic of stewardship, and then you do your part, whether it's through voting or, picking up litter or making your mark in climate change, to make sure that this is always here for everybody and for wildlife and for all of us.
Just as the numerous hiking trails connect different parts of the Berkshires, so does the Housatonic River, which originates in Pittsfield and flows for approximately 150 miles to Long Island Sound. Along the way, the river takes many forms, ranging from whitewater rapids to broad, languid pools. Like most industrialized waterways in New England, the Housay has endured its share of abuse over the last 200 years. A massive effort to remove PCB-laden material from the upper portions of the river is currently underway, as I learned on a short paddle with Allison Dixon of the Housatonic Valley Association, starting at the Decker Boat Launch in Lenox.
We are a watershed organization, so we're looking out for the whole Housatonic watershed, all the way up in these Berkshire Hills down to the Long Island Sound, which is about 2,000 square miles. And our whole mission is to conserve the natural environment for this and future generations. Currently, we're partnered with Massachusetts Audubon Society for a second time for an education group that focuses on teaching 3rd, 5th, and 7th graders about the river, about water, and part of that is also getting them out on paddle trips along this stretch of the river and maybe other stretches too. Once they get out on the river, it's something they don't forget. And once they get out on the river and they really appreciate what a beautiful natural resource it is, it means that they'll start to care about it more, take care of it, and develop that stewardship that is so important for future years.
Right, they got to experience it firsthand. And I'll bet a lot of people grew up in this area and they've never even been on the river.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why we started doing our free public paddle trips, is to introduce people to this resource. So we do a variety of things, from river cleanups to education programs and public paddle trips, but we also do restoration work and work on assessing stream crossings to see where culverts are a barrier to aquatic wildlife, and bacteria monitoring, and general water quality monitoring to help improve the water quality where we can.
So what kind of wildlife might you see on a paddle down the Housatonic River in this area?
You could see quite a variety. Definitely the great blue heron, and the bald eagle is often spotted, and even osprey.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, on our paddle trips, we've seen black bear.
Black bear right along the river?
Swimming across the river in front of the lead paddler.
Huh.
That was just upstream of here. And we've also seen bobcat sitting on the side of the river, and even had an otter.
Oh, and all kinds of bird life too.
Very.
I mean, we've probably spotted a dozen species already, and I bet in the springtime during that spring migration, you're probably seeing all kinds of warblers and Baltimore orioles. And
it's a good time to just take a birding paddle, and we've done that, where we've taken a experienced birder with us to help us identify. A little challenging from the boat for everybody to see, but
look right there.
yeah.
There's a great blue heron right there.
Oh my God.
Well, speak of the devil.
The Berkshires is just an amazing place because we have so much beauty, natural beauty around us, plenty of outdoor places to recreate, trails to explore, but we have numerous lakes to paddle and swim. Paddle boarding has become popular, but we also have incredible theater and music with Tanglewood, Norman Rockwell, Museum of Contemporary Art up in North Adams, and the Clark Art Institute, and the Berkshire Museum. We have it all, but don't tell anybody that.
Paddlers and hikers who find themselves in need of refreshment after their outdoor excursions can set a course for the Barrington Brewery, which fulfills most of its energy needs through solar power. The food is delicious, and the fresh brewed ale is even better.
So Andy, tell me about the solar array that you have here.
Well, so we have 465 panels, and it supplies 85% of all of our electricity for the facility, both for Chrissy Farm and Barrington Brewery. We're going into our 4th year now, and it's really paid off for us very well. It's a big investment up front.
I can imagine.
A little daunting up front, but we had done a solar hot water system about 12 years ago, and we had already kind of been through that business thinking of, wow, this is a big investment, but we went ahead and we did it because it was the responsible thing to do, and it really paid off for us. We're ranked, or we were as of a couple of months ago, we were ranked, I think, 40th in the world.
In the world?
As far as breweries, solar installations for breweries. So one of the things that is hard to kind of grasp is the size of the investment for the size of our business. We're a small business. We're a small brewery, restaurant, brew pub. This is a very big installation for that size of business.
Right. So like you said, big investment, but it's paying off.
Yes.
So Gary, tell me about this the brewery part of your operation here.
Well, this is our 7-barrel brewery, which means that we don't have just 7 barrels. That means the capacity when we make the beer, we make the equivalent of 7 U.S. barrels, which is 31 gallons, or 14 half barrels if you had a party at your house.
Yep.
Half barrel.
Keg parties.
Keg parties. So we brew about 3 times a week. We do probably about 1,100, 1,200 barrels a year. So we make a lot of beer.
Sure.
Mostly, we're a restaurant brewery, so it's that capacity. This is the brew house.
Okay.
So up here, this is where we do the magic up here. This is where we follow the recipes. Each beer has a different recipe, and we mix the ingredients, and we brew up here in the brew house. When we're done up here, the liquor we're going to end up with then goes down below to the fermentation room.
Okay, and then in the fermentation, obviously that's where it's developing the alcohol, right? And the carbonation.
Yep, that's all going on right below us down here. That takes about 10 days with the ales. Okay. Then we transfer it over to the down here's the cold room below us, and we transfer it over there. We pump it into the cold room.
And what does the cold do?
The cold, we're going to serve it from there.
Okay.
So then we're going to pump it, and then we're going to move it right under the bar, right under the floor to the bar, and serve it out.
So it goes. So it basically just goes like it's
here,
all in house.
Here to there,
and then you're drinking it straight out of the tank.
Yep, we are. They're drinking it out of the tank.
Yeah.
One time a week, we do about 60 cases of 16-ounce cans.
Yeah.
And we sell them in local package stores, and then we sell them out here to take people to take home.
Yes, there's no better way to celebrate a few fun-filled fall days in the Berkshires than over some hearty Octoberfest ales shared with friends. On my next visit, though, I'll see about bringing some wild mushrooms to the party.